Welcome to Dr. Healthy Hub. Before you take another sip of beet juice, listen carefully. Most people think beet juice automatically boosts nitric oxide and improves circulation. But if you're over 60, your body may not be converting it the way it used to. That means you could be missing out on the very benefit you bought it for. Today, I'll show you 5 simple additions that can make your beet juice work smarter, not harder. Let's dive in.
One 68-year-old man drank beet juice every day for 3 years to support his circulation. He still had cold hands, numb feet, and blood pressure that remained elevated despite medication. When his nitric oxide levels were checked, they were extremely low. After 3 years of drinking beet juice, his body was converting almost none of it. He was essentially drinking expensive purple water and getting very little benefit. Then, 5 simple ingredients were added to the same glass. Nothing else changed. Within a few weeks, nitric oxide levels increased dramatically. Blood pressure improved enough that medication was reduced. His hands became warmer, his feet regained healthy color, and he could walk farther without his calves tightening up. Those 5 ingredients fix what beet juice can't do alone. They help restore the conversion pathway, protect nitrates from stomach acid, feed the oral bacteria that start the conversion process, and provide additional compounds that push nitric oxide production far beyond what beet juice can achieve by itself. Meanwhile, the supplement industry sells expensive nitric oxide boosters in fancy bottles. Yet, adding a few inexpensive ingredients to the beet juice you already buy can potentially deliver even better results for a fraction of the cost. Stay with me through this entire list, because ingredient number 3 helps restore one of the key bacterial steps many people lose as they age. Without it, the other 4 ingredients may not be nearly as effective. Add this to your beet juice, and it helps protect nitrates before they ever reach your bloodstream. Ingredient number 5, Hawthorn Berry extract. This is one of the oldest heart support remedies in the world, yet most people have never heard of it. Hawthorn berry has been used in European and Chinese traditions for centuries to support heart health and circulation. But this is no longer just traditional wisdom. Modern research has investigated its effects, and the findings are impressive. A major meta-analysis published in the American Journal of Medicine reviewed 14 randomized controlled trials involving more than 1,000 people with chronic heart failure. The results showed that Hawthorn extract significantly improved exercise tolerance compared to placebo. It also helped reduce symptoms such as fatigue and shortness of breath. That matters because after 60, reduced exercise tolerance is often one of the earliest signs that circulation may not be functioning optimally. Muscles receive less oxygen, and the heart has to work harder to meet demand.
So, what is hawthorn actually doing inside the body? It contains powerful plant compounds called oligomeric proanthocyanidins, commonly known as OPCs. These compounds help strengthen blood vessel walls and reduce inflammation in the endothelium, the thin inner lining of every blood vessel in the body. Think of the endothelium like the non-stick coating inside a frying pan. When it's healthy, blood flows smoothly. When it becomes damaged or inflamed, circulation becomes less efficient. Hawthorn helps support and protect that lining. Research published in Phytomedicine found that hawthorn extract increased coronary blood flow and reduced markers of oxidative stress. Here's why that matters when combined with beet juice. Beet juice provides dietary nitrates, the raw materials needed for nitric oxide production. But if blood vessel walls are inflamed or damaged, the body may struggle to use nitric oxide effectively. It's like putting premium fuel into a vehicle with a clogged engine. Hawthorn helps clear the path by reducing inflammation and oxidative stress that can interfere with nitric oxide's function. Another study published in Cardiovascular Therapeutics found that participants taking hawthorn extract daily experienced measurable improvements in endothelial function.
meaning their blood vessels became better able to relax and expand.
Good. That is significant, especially for someone over 60 whose endothelial function has been declining for years. So, how do you use it? The easiest way is to get a standardized Hawthorn Berry extract in powder or liquid form. Look for one standardized to contain at least 2% Vitexin or 18% OPCs. Add about half a teaspoon of the powder or 1 full dropper of the liquid extract directly into your beet juice and stir well. The flavor is mildly tart and slightly sweet, so it blends in easily without overpowering the taste. Use it consistently, every day, because Hawthorn's benefits are cumulative. They build gradually over time. Most research suggests noticeable effects may begin to appear after several weeks of regular use. Many people prefer taking their Hawthorn beet juice in the morning on an empty stomach, as this may support absorption of its active compounds. It's 68 degrees and sunny. Traffic is a bit heavy today, so I'd suggest leaving 10 minutes early for your 9 a.m. meeting. Regarding your support ticket, I definitely hear your frustration with that billing error. I've submitted and confirmed a request for a full refund on your behalf. You should see those funds back in your account within 3 business days.
Ingredient number 4, raw cacao powder. When people hear that chocolate can be good for the heart, they're often thinking of candy bars loaded with sugar. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about raw cacao powder, the pure, minimally processed form of chocolate, before sugar, milk, and heavy processing remove many of its beneficial compounds. Raw cacao is one of the most researched cardiovascular supporting foods available. A landmark study published in Circulation followed more than 21,000 participants and found that those who regularly consumed flavanol-rich cacao had significantly lower rates of cardiovascular disease and stroke. The secret lies in cacao's exceptionally high concentration of flavanols, particularly a compound called epicatechin.
Epicatechin helps stimulate nitric oxide production inside blood vessels. Remember, nitric oxide is the molecule that signals blood vessels to relax and widen, allowing blood to flow more easily throughout the body. Research from the University of California found that participants consuming high flavanol dark chocolate experienced substantial improvements in blood vessel function, measured through flow-mediated dilation, a gold standard marker of vascular health. Now, think about what happens when cacao is combined with beet juice. Beets provide dietary nitrates that support nitric oxide production through one pathway. Cacao supports nitric oxide production through a different pathway, involving the endothelial cells lining the blood vessels. In other words, you're supporting nitric oxide production from multiple directions at the same time.
Research published in the British Journal of Nutrition found that combining nitrate-rich foods with flavanol-rich cacao produced a greater nitric oxide response than either one alone. For adults over 60, this may be especially valuable because the body's natural ability to produce nitric oxide tends to decline with age. By supporting multiple pathways, you're helping compensate for some of those age-related changes. And there's another advantage that often gets overlooked. Raw cacao is one of the richest natural food sources of magnesium. Just 2 tablespoons provide a meaningful amount of this essential mineral, which is involved in hundreds of biochemical reactions throughout the body, including those related to blood vessel relaxation and blood pressure regulation.
Many older adults do not consume enough magnesium, making cacao an easy way to increase intake. To use it, add 1 to 2 tablespoons of raw, unsweetened cacao powder directly into your beet juice. Be sure the label says raw cacao, not cocoa. Cocoa is typically processed at higher temperatures, which can reduce its flavanol content. For the best texture, blend rather than stir, since cacao powder tends to clump. The flavor is rich and slightly bitter, but when combined with the earthy taste of beet juice, many people find the combination surprisingly enjoyable. Now, let's move on to ingredient number 3, something you may already have sitting in your refrigerator. If you're enjoying this information, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. The next ingredient may be the most important one yet. Ingredient number 3, fresh ginger root. Ginger has been used for thousands of years in cultures around the world, but only in recent decades have researchers begun to understand why it may be so effective for supporting healthy circulation. The primary active compound in ginger is called gingerol. When you consume fresh ginger, gingerol enters the bloodstream and begins interacting with several systems involved in blood flow and vascular function. And what happens next is truly fascinating. It inhibits an enzyme called thromboxane synthase. That may sound complicated, but here's what it means in simple terms. Thromboxane is a chemical your body produces that makes blood platelets stick together. As people get older, the body often produces more thromboxane, which can make blood thicker and less free-flowing. Ginger appears to help counteract this process.
Ingredient number 2, watermelon rind. Yes, you read that correctly. Not the sweet red flesh everyone enjoys. The white and green rind that usually ends up in the trash. It turns out that watermelon rind contains a remarkable nutrient called L-citrulline. L-citrulline is an amino acid that the body converts into L-arginine, which is then used to produce nitric oxide. In other words, it supports nitric oxide production through a pathway that complements the nitrates found in beet juice. Research published in Nutrition found that watermelon rind contains substantial amounts of citrulline, making it one of the richest natural food sources available.
In fact, the rind contains considerably more citrulline than the red flesh itself. That means many people have been discarding the most valuable part of the watermelon without realizing it. Research from Florida State University found that citrulline supplementation from watermelon sources was associated with meaningful improvements in blood pressure and arterial function. This is important because the aorta, your body's largest artery, plays a central role in delivering blood throughout the circulatory system. Supporting healthy function of this major blood vessel can have widespread effects on circulation, from head to toe. And when watermelon rind is combined with beet juice, something remarkable begins to happen. Ingredient number 1, cayenne pepper. This ingredient may be small, but its impact can be surprisingly powerful. Cayenne pepper contains a compound called capsaicin, the same substance responsible for the heat you feel when eating spicy foods. Inside the body, capsaicin interacts with receptors known as TRPV1 receptors. When these receptors are activated, they can stimulate processes associated with blood vessel relaxation and nitric oxide signaling. Research published in Cell Metabolism found that capsaicin activated TRPV1 receptors and significantly increased nitric oxide production in endothelial cells. What made the findings even more interesting was what happened when capsaicin was combined with dietary nitrates, like those found in beet juice. The combined effect was substantially greater than either ingredient produced on its own. Researchers described this as a synergistic response, where multiple mechanisms work together to amplify the overall outcome. Large population studies have also found associations between regular consumption of spicy foods and improved long-term cardiovascular outcomes. In one major study involving hundreds of thousands of participants, individuals who regularly consumed spicy foods experienced lower rates of cardiovascular-related mortality compared with those who rarely consumed them. For adults concerned about circulation, another interesting area of research involves arterial flexibility.